Sometimes it feels like the sun will never rise, like the birds will never sing again. Believe in a power greater than what you are going through. When you don't know what to do, keep breathing.
That's right. When you don't know what to do, just keep on breathing. From the City of Angels in Los Angeles, welcome to all my listeners out there in Radio Land. I'm Dave, the Caregiver's Caregiver, at caregiverdave.com, along with my lovely co-host, best-selling author, and former mayor of Grover Beach in Central California, Debbie Peterson. Also coming to you live and on demand 24/7 on numerous syndicated radio and podcast networks on 30 global audio video platforms, including iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Spreaker, Spotify, SoundCloud, Vimeo, and the list goes on. And we're proud to be voted #1 caregiver podcast on FeedSpot out of thousands and Player FM top 50. And we have an especially exciting show planned today. Board certified gastroenterologist, I hope I said that right, with more than 50 years experience, FACP, FACG, lecturer on medicine, Harvard Medical School, THE myth and truth about IBS, I should say, the myth and truth about Irritable Bowel Syndrome. What you think is caused by junk food or healthy foods. We'll get to the bottom of that. Before we get started, I do want to take this moment, thank my last week's guest, Deborah Mallow, how caregivers can have fewer days that suck, her words. And just a reminder, you can watch or listen to that interview and all our interviews on our membership website, caregiverdave.com, or any of our 30 global audio and video platforms that I mentioned earlier. All right, enough of that. Mohammad, so great to have you on the Caregiver Dave show.
Good to be on the show, Dave and Debbie. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, pleasure's ours. I always like to ask my guests just who is Mohammad Farivar and why was he placed on this earth? How's that?
Yes, yeah, that's a question that I've been asking myself for a long time. I've been around for almost 80 years. I'll be 80 soon. And I have asked that question many times, and every time I say this is the reason for it, and then just to find out that that wasn't the reason, and there was another reason for me being on the earth. Right now, I believe that my mission really is to remind close to 50 million people in this country that they're complaining that they have irritable bowel syndrome, to remind them that they don't have a disease, that this is just a normal reaction of their body to the good food that they're eating, and stop wasting your money and stop going from one doctor to another. So I think right now, I feel this is my mission, and that's the book that I wrote about it, that is it IBS or your diet? That was the purpose of that. So I'm hoping that I can, with the help of people like you and different podcasts and media and so forth, we can sort of educate people about this issue, which has created around itself a huge dark market, from doctors to hospitals to internet to labs to everything else. So I hope that we'll have enough time to discuss these issues.
Wow. So this is pretty controversial because I know a lot of doctors would disagree with you because they want you to spend a lot of money with them. My son-in-law has irritable bowel syndrome, supposedly. What he says, he has a very stressful wife, and the stress supposedly gave it to him, and they had to take out his bowel, and now he has a bag. So was that necessary, unnecessary? What would you have done for him if he came to see you?
That has nothing to do with irritable bowel syndrome. He may have had diverticulitis that perforated, and that was the reason for it. So
they said it started out as IBS, and then it progressed.
So it could, and I tell you how it happens. That's not the IBS that does it. If you have lactose intolerance, and then you use a lot of, feed you a lot of lactose when you're young, and then you continue drinking milk and ice cream and cheese and blah blah. You produce a lot of gas in your intestine, and that gas blows up your large intestine. So you form little bubbles to get rid of pressure in your large intestine. Those little sacs are called diverticulum. And then if you eat something like popcorns and those things, or you're constipated, and these little sacs, they get perforated, you get diverticulitis. And that's why in this country, people who are more than 50 years, almost everybody has diverticulosis, because we used to, many years ago, tell kids to drink a lot of milk and force them to drink it because it's good for your bones and so forth. I think we are going to be seeing less and less of that, because people are becoming aware that lactose intolerance can cause IBS symptoms. Because IBS is a group of symptoms. It's like if you're bloated and you have gas and you have abdominal discomfort and you have frequent bowel movements or constipation, and it's different in shape of your bowel movement is not formed the way it should be at different time, that means that you are fermenting undigested carbohydrates. Sorry about that. I should turn this off. You're fermenting undigested carbohydrate by your colon bacteria, and they produce a lot of gas. So lactose intolerance means that we don't have enzyme to digest lactose. Lactose is sugar, it's carbohydrate. So that happens. So lactose intolerance is one of the causes of IBS, and it's diet related. And people who don't, and most people in the world are lactose intolerant, except for Northern Europeans. Northern Europeans, about 20% they have lactose intolerance, 80% don't. The rest of the world, 80% have lactose intolerance, 20% don't. So we all have lactose intolerance. So we go and we overdo in things like, a couple of glasses of milk and a slice of pizza and ice cream, and then we're going to get bloated. And if you have more than that, then we're going to get a spasm, and we feel like we have to go, and we'll have mucus in the stool and a stomach pain, depending on the degree of lactose intolerance. But that is one of the causes of IBS. That is diet related, is because of carbohydrate in the milk that we are not absorbing. So our large intestine bacteria is fermenting it. Now, there are a lot of carbohydrates in our diet, in the food that we eat, that those carbohydrates are planned not to get digested. God has put it in there to be food for the bacteria in our large intestine. So those carbohydrates is called FODMAP, okay? Fermentable means carbohydrate that get fermented. Oligo means 3 to 10 sugar attached to each other. Mono means 1 sugar. Di means 2 sugar. Oligosaccharide, mono, and disaccharide, and polyols, which means that, like sugars that they add to the food to diet food, like sorbitol and those things. Those we don't have enzyme to digest them. So when we don't have enzyme to digest them, they go to our large intestine. Bacteria in there ferments them. They produce a lot of calorie for us. They're good for us. People tell me, I'm just going off the chart here. People tell me, Dr. Farivar, I'm eating a lot of salad and I'm not losing weight. And I tell them, you see cows, they're a ton, they're all eating grass. And so the grass has a lot of calorie, and the bacteria in their rumen just produce this calorie from it. In our case, that grass that cannot get absorbed, it goes into the large intestine. Large intestine bacteria ferments it. So our rumen is at the end of our GI tract. Rumen is at the beginning of the GI tract. So it's by the same mechanism. Produces a lot of gas and bloating, and then every symptom that goes after that. So diet really is the main reason. For it's the main reason. It's not the only reason sometimes, because you could have lactose intolerance too. You could have fructose intolerance too. You could have other disaccharide deficiencies like maltase deficiency too. So we could have all of those. anybody who has lactose intolerance, there's 10% chance that they'll have those other intolerances too. So in addition to FODMAP, we'll have those other food too that everybody else doesn't have problem, we're going to have problem with, and we're going to have gas and bloating. So it's the food, carbs that doesn't get digested, doesn't get absorbed, it gets fermented, causes all of those symptoms. If your son-in-law doesn't have lactose, for example, and then he can have all the stress in the world, and he's not going to have IBS symptoms. There's no gas there. There's no stuff there to cause those symptoms.
I'm sure Debbie has questions of her own, but I wanted to ask my personal question first.
Yes.
Everyone says, well, everyone's bowel movements are different. There's no right, there's no wrong. I mean, it takes me a long time. I have to get up like an hour before I'm going to go anywhere, because I'll go and have a bowel movement, then I'll be finished, get up, and like 10 minutes later, it's like I got to go again. So I'll do it again, and then I'm finished. And then I might go back 5 times to get it all out. Yes. Why doesn't it all come out at the same time?
You have IBS.
You think I do? Really?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You got to watch your diet. You got to watch your diet, and plus, what are you eating? So I can tell you what to do and what not to do if you want to go over that.
What am I eating? Well, for breakfast, I'll have peanut butter and bread, and some of these like Quest bar. For lunch, I might have a sandwich or a hamburger, and for dinner, my wife cooks me a balanced meal with vegetables and carbs and protein and so on. I don't know. It's kind of normal diet, isn't it? I don't eat junk.
Yeah, this is see, most people with IBS, they're eating good food, healthy food. That's all the food in high in FODMAP. They're healthy food. They're the food that we are supposed to eat. We are supposed to eat because that prolongs our life. Those bacteria, the food that goes and reaches our bacteria in the large intestine, they produce a lot of short chain fatty acids, which are food not only for our intestine, but also they produce vitamins for us. They produce serotonin. They produce those hormones that make us feel good, make us feel better. So they're all, and also produce hormones that make our intestine to move. So these are necessary things for our life, really. We should, things should be, however, within our acceptance.
Yeah, I also have acid reflux. I should probably throw that in there as well.
Pardon?
I'm on medication. I have acid reflux, and they said I have a damaged esophagus, or inflamed, rather.
Yeah. Okay. So acid reflux, to some degree, contributes to that. I think that you need to take whatever you're taking, you need to take it twice a day. Not once a day is not enough for you.
I do. I take it twice a day.
You take it twice a day, but you got to increase the dose. You know why I say that? Because I see you frequently swallow. And so
I'm constantly clearing my throat. It's phlegm that just, and once it's gone, I feel great, but it takes hours to get it up in the morning, especially.
Yeah, that's more. You don't smoke, right? You don't smoke, do you?
No, I don't smoke.
Okay,
but
you
think that I did by hearing me try to cough it up.
You need to probably increase your or whatever you're taking to double the dose of those. If you go on my site, it's called GERD. That's what you have. -IBS.com.
GERD.
So it's in if it's on one page or one sheet that I send it to you guys. GERD-IBS.com. If you go on the GERD, there'll be some information about that too. I sort of developed that site 30 years ago, in 1990, for patients with acid reflux and for IBS, because that's a common issue, common problem that I see in the office, that all gastroenterologists we see in the office.
Wow.
It's very common and often is mismanaged. We're both mismanaged, unfortunately. For example, the list of PPIs, the least effective of them is protonics, pantoprazole, and that's the most used by doctors. That's one of the mistakes that we make. That it has to be taken half an hour before you eat in order to be effective. If you eat it with meal or after meal, it's not going to be effective. So there's a lot of different issues regarding even that, which is on that side. And maybe sometimes we can talk about GERD, because GERD is very common in older people, in demented people. People are laying down in their back, okay, and so they get acid reflux constantly. And I see people, they bring them to the hospital because they're anemic, they can't swallow, they have pneumonia, and all there is because they've been laying in their back, and this acid has been coming back and it's burning their esophagus,
Yeah.
and it's causing all the problems.
I have a
So a
hospital bed
lot of
now
people,
that I can recline in, so I don't lay flat. I'm at a
yeah,
45-degree angle.
yeah, all you need to do is to elevate head of your bed 6 inches, like under the headboard, under the frame, put couple of bricks. 6 inches enough, because you need to be a little. This is, doesn't do you any good. Two pillows doesn't do you any good because only your head is up. Your body needs to be at a little bit of an angle so the fluid can just go back down. These wedge pillows are no good because you're uncomfortable, but a little bit of an angle you don't even notice it. I used to tell people to use a couple of yellow pages under the because remember yellow pages, they were thick, but we don't have any more yellow pages. But that's more than enough to raise head of a bed. Anyway, so the diet that is causing IBS in patient mostly is FODMAP, high FODMAP. So people can go on my site. There is IBS site. If they go click on the IBS, it says FODMAP, high FODMAP, and low FODMAP. So all they need to do is to educate themselves that if I eat these foods, I'm going to have more gas, I'm going to have more frequent bowel movement, I'm going to be more bloated. So if I'm going to eat those the same day, don't eat a lot of the high FODMAPs. Just I don't say don't eat it because it's necessary for these bacteria. They're waiting for it, and they need it, and they help us for that. They help our immunity. They are anti-inflammatory. They prolong our life. They're wonderful. Okay, but don't go from one doctor to another to get a colonoscopy, one colonoscopy after another, one endoscopy after another, a blood test, and then go on the internet and buy all these useless probiotics and supplements and diets, and go to the lab that they test your hair and your blood and your stool for 10,000 different things, which none of them is really informative, and charge you $2,500 for it. And still you don't feel good. The reason you don't feel good is because you continue eating the same food.
Mm-hmm.
You continue eating the same food. You don't
Does your
moderate.
site give us a diet that we should follow?
Give you a diet. I think the diet that you should follow, things that are high in FODMAP. Okay, things that
Fiber?
are high. Let me mention it to you. Like wheat and wheat product, for example, fruits. Okay, especially sweet fruit like apple, pear, watermelon, all the stone fruits. Those are very high in FODMAP. All the legumes are high in FODMAP. So beans, peas, uh, lentil, those things are high in FODMAP. Vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprout, cabbage, onion, garlics, those are high in FODMAP. Milk, if you're lactose intolerant, which most people are, is high in FODMAP because of the lactose that's in it. Yeah. All right. So these are like the thing that and most of our diet nowadays, people make smoothies in the morning and they drink it. And they are most of it, V8 juice, for example. V8 juice is the worst thing for somebody. It's very good for your health, but it's going to give you IBS with the stuff that's in it. Okay. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's very true because the apple is high in FODMAP. Food for bacteria causes gas and bloating, but is good for those bacteria that are good for us. So the myth of this IBS is that people, they think that, I have IBS because I eat junk food. No, junk food, well, I don't even call burgers junk food. I love hamburgers and French fries, and they're good for us, and there's nothing wrong with them, except because they're available and they're inexpensive. We keep eating it and we keep gaining weight. Otherwise, there's nothing wrong with them. So it's the good food, is the healthy food that everybody recommends. That's what's causing the symptoms of gas and bloating and change. And that's what I want to get to the people that, okay, this is what it is. Moderate. If you eat something and you see that, for example, mushroom, it causes more gas than other things, that means you don't have the enzyme necessary to digest the carbohydrate in mushroom. Therefore, avoid mushroom. Eat less of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and educating themselves is very easy. On the internet, high FODMAP food, avoid or not, don't avoid. Just know this is what's causing a problem. Low FODMAP food is the alternative. And there is a lot of, information is everywhere that you can find, including in my book. I don't recommend people to buy my book, but this is my book. Is it IBS or your diet? That they can get it on the Amazon.
I'm buying it. Debbie, do you have any personal questions or problems?
Yeah, well, not so much a personal question, but when we first talked with you before you came on the show, you talked about the hydrogen breath test. Now, what is that about? Does that relate to all of this?
That's an excellent question. Because unfortunately, this is the test that will tell you what kind of food is your trigger food and is giving you more problem.
Really?
Okay. And is easily, for example, if you have lactose intolerance, it will tell you. If you have fructose intolerance, you only can eat 3 grams of fructose. So if you eat more than like 4 or 5, or more than a slice of watermelon or more than an apple, you're going to have problem. So it will tell you if you have that. Tell you if you have SIBO, too much bacteria in your intestine. It will tell you what kind of FODMAP food is causing it. It's breath test. So because the stuff that gets into our intestine and bacteria that ferments it, it produces hydrogen. Hydrogen comes through our bloodstream and comes out of our breath. So if you measure hydrogen 3 or 4 hours after you had an apple or after you had a glass of milk, for example, after you have a glass of milk, 4 hours after a glass of milk, and if there's 20 parts per minute hydrogen in your breath, you have lactose intolerance. Simple as that. Then you know for the rest of your life that that's what your problem is. Or if you eat, fructose, the same thing. Have a tablespoon of honey, and because honey is fructose, and then you're bloated afterwards, and you do hydrogen breath test, and so you see that you have fructose intolerance. So it's simple as that. However, this hydrogen breath test, which is simple to do, which is inexpensive, which is a must when you go to see a doctor for your IBS, to do a hydrogen breath test, is not done in 99% of places that you go to.
I never heard of it.
And the reason is not done is simple, because you need to have somebody, it takes 4 hours. You have to sit there, drink the milk and sit, and then they do it for you. And then Medicare pays $67.50 for it. Okay, so you have equipment and everything else, and the office, somebody is sitting there and so forth. $67. So people don't do it. Not that So there's a reason they don't get paid. It takes time. So doctors either do, and because of that, nobody talks about it. So they don't even know it. Even there are doctors, GI doctors, that they don't know about hydrogen breath test, and it's been around more than 40 years.
I'm sorry for interrupting. I did a blood sensitivity test, charged me a lot of money for that. And all these, you're sensitive to this, you're sensitive to this, you don't like those either?
Yes.
Blood tests.
Yeah, useless, I said. No, I think they're useless. Blood test is only good if you have celiac, if that shows that. Otherwise, they all measure IgGs, and IgG is a kind of antibody that if you have a little bit of a leakage of food from your intestine into your bloodstream, that'll become positive. So you've had an ulcer, you took a couple of ibuprofen at some point, and you ate something, and then it makes it positive. It doesn't really mean anything. That's why I said people shouldn't waste their money on it. Anyway, Debbie, to get back to you, so the hydrogen breath test is not being done, even though it's been around for more than 40 years. And this is something that we need to really, if you go and have IBS symptom to your doctor, and he wants to do a colonoscopy, the first thing you should say is that, doctor, how about breath test? Can you send me to a place to get a breath test? Okay, they may do it at their hospital, but if they don't, there are places that they do it. Quintron has been making this equipment for as long as I've been around. When I was in practice, I had 3 of these little equipment. That patient come Fridays that I wasn't working. The patient come and they do their breath test, and they sit there 7 or 8 of them, and you pipe and they breathe into it, and you read the number. If the number is 20, they're positive. Number is not 20, they're not positive.
Can we do
Period.
this
As simple as that.
ourselves? Can we buy something and do it ourselves?
Okay, it's not available. No. I looked at. I was looking at the internet. There is a place in Ireland. I think the equipment itself. I'll tell you about it. The equipment itself is about $5,000. The Quintra.
Wow.
There is a place in I think Vermont that they make that equipment for $3,000. Then there's a place in Ireland that they make an equipment small, which is $350, and you can get that and have it. And anytime you eat something and you blow that, you blow into it, breathe into it,
After
and if
4
it
hours?
shows the number, yeah, and it shows the number. So if the number is 20, then you know that okay, you have lactose intolerance, fructose intolerance, whatever other intolerance it is.
Let us know where
So
to get that.
it is. So pardon.
Let us know where to get that.
I didn't know where to get that.
You have an
Oh,
address?
do I know where to get
In
that? I
Ireland?
think you should. Yeah, I think you should go on the internet and search for it for hydrogen breath test, and then then you probably will find it. But there should be. Nobody pays attention because nobody talks about it, and that's why so much money is spent. Last year, only healthcare, $40 billion was spent on IBS. $40 billion is a lot of money to be spent on nothing. This really should have been nothing to spend money on. Is education. We should have educated people instead of keep bringing it back. I see patients that they have gone to 4 different Harvard hospitals in Boston here, seen 4 different professors. Everybody has done blood tests for celiac and done a colonoscopy. Nobody ever asked them, what do you eat? What is your diet? Nobody ever sent them for hydrogen breath test. So we need to educate public that really this is what the problem is. And if you go on internet, tomorrow go on internet and look and put your things, look for IBS. Every day you will be bombarded by 10 different things that they have come up with, 10 different probiotic enzymes, supplements, web sites that they educate you, site that they do psychotherapy for you, everything else for your IBS. This is amazing and so ridiculous because there's no control over this.
We could talk about this for hours. We've got 5 minutes left. So what do you want to tell us in that 5 minutes that we haven't gone over yet?
I want to first repeat what I said. IBS is not a disease. Okay, if you have IBS, most likely it's diet related. Go on the internet, look for high FODMAP food. Those are the ones that's causing problem. You also may have lactose intolerance, and then you can find out that easily, or just drink a glass of milk, see if you have a problem. If you go to the doctor, or if you had IBS for several years and you're not better, is your diet, just go on high FODMAP, ask for breath test to find out specifically what the problem is. But there is one issue that I want to mention. And that's very important because everywhere that I've been, I've seen people with this problem. There are people that have severe IBS that all of a sudden they're driving and all of a sudden they get severe lower abdominal pain. They have to find a bathroom and go, or they lose control. Okay, that's it. This is always related to too much bile. Most of it, 90% of the time, related to your gallbladder being removed at some point in the last 20 years, 30 years. Or something. I have people that they have changed their job. I mean, dental hygienist, that she stopped being dental hygienist because she's had 4 or 5 accidents while she was doing patients, couldn't control herself. Teachers and everybody else. I have a lot of stories. If you read my book, it'll be in my book. There are 40 different cases in there that are interesting. And this is due to elevated bile salt, especially if you had gallbladder surgery. If you have symptoms like this, the treatment is very easy, very easy. Packet 4 grams of cholesterol in a day will get rid of this forever. So that's something that I really want people to know because this is places that I've gone to since I retired. I've done consultation for different areas, and I see that universally everywhere because doctors, even GIs, don't really know about that. And so it goes back as long as they've had their surgery for their gallbladder, they have had these symptoms. So bile salt malabsorption, that's what It is. So that's what I want to tell people.
What is the name of your book again? Hold it up.
The book is it IBS or your diet? And also, is it IBS or your diet? Also, I have a website. I just recently made a website with the same name. Is it IBS or your diet.com?
Got it.
And if you go there, you can read the book for free. Anybody who goes there, they can read it. And my site that's been there too for 30 years, since 1990, has been free. More than 1 million people have visited the site. It's been free, no advertising, nothing on it, because my intention really is not to make money. I have plenty of money. So that's not my intention. My intention is educate people so they know, so they get out of this prison that they've been in it all their life with, since childhood. They have been in these things with all the cramps and pain and bloating and gas and, doing blood tests and this and that. And it's easy to get out of it. Is, just educate yourself about food and you'll be all set.
I'm just flabbergasted. Debbie, any last words?
I'm curious about the brain-gut connection, but we probably don't have time to talk about that. Is that something that you think is the real deal?
Absolutely. Brain-gut connection, of course, is a real deal. See, there's bacteria. The FODMAP food that feeds the bacteria, okay, the bacteria are producing then short-chain fatty acid like butyrate. Butyrate are the signal between our gut and brain. They go to the brain and they tell our brain to make enzyme, good hormones like serotonin that makes us feel good. They are anti-inflammatory. Yes, there is. And also, everything is under our control. Our gut is also under our brain control. Part of it consciously and part of it subconsciously. After we eat, immediately after eating, half an hour after we eat, till about an hour and a half after we eat, our brain is constantly telling our system to move, and that's the best time to have a bowel movement in the morning specifically, because that's when peristalsis starts and it keeps going. So yes, the brain-gut connection is serious. However, you don't have, like all these years that I've been in practice, the true IBS is really been about less than a handful of true real IBS, that this is out of control and keeps going and so forth. You know what I mean? If you're stressed out, of course, on his own, but if you're stressed out, if you've had too much coffee, too much tea, exercise, done things that it makes your gut to move faster, then you're going to have those IBS symptoms, because then foods are not going to get digested. They don't have enough time to sit next to your pancreas and get digested. They ran into your large intestine and they fermented them. There's a lot to talk about. I know you guys don't have time. I appreciate your time. I am just hoping that we can, with the help of you guys, we can educate more and more people about this.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. You're a very, very good guest, very knowledgeable. I wish we had more time. Remember, all our live shows become recorded pod and video casts on your favorite platforms. You can also join my community. Debbie, how do we get a hold of you and find out what you do?
The really interesting place today would be to go see my latest Corruption Chronicles podcast. It's a fascinating story of the Ludlow Massacre in Colorado. And I'll say no more. Just go to Debbie Peterson on YouTube, Corruption Chronicles, and you'll find some great stories about how people found and fixed corruption.
Yeah. And I'm at caregiverdave.com. You can find our best-selling books. You can get free 30-minute coaching sessions. You can find us on Facebook, Caregiver Dave. If you click the like or follow button, whatever platform you're watching this on, helps Google reach even more caregivers. So again, big thank you to all my listeners out there all over the world for tuning in every Wednesday, making us the #1 caregiver podcast on the internet. Doctor, thank you so much. Debbie, thank you. Until next week, same time, same channel. May God richly bless you all. Bye-bye.
Dave Nasani, the Caregiver's Caregiver, has just released his 6th book entitled It's My Life Too, Thrive to Stay Alive as a Caregiver. It was specifically written for caregivers who know they should be putting their needs first, but just don't know how. Dave is the sole caregiver to his wife, Charlene, since 1996. He knows firsthand what caregivers are going through because he is one. He now speaks all across the country, offering caregivers his amazing caregiver support package. Even the airlines tell us that in the event of an emergency, to put your oxygen mask on first before you help your child with their mask. They know that those who don't heed their advice often black out, thus becoming unable to help either themselves or their child. And caregivers are exactly the same way. It's My Life Too. Thrive and Stay Alive as a Caregiver will help caregivers who are neglecting their sleep, diet, and social life and learn to put their needs first. Pick up your copy today or buy one for your special caregiver, on sale everywhere and at caregiverdave.com.
Sometimes it feels like the sun will never rise, like the birds will never sing again.